According to Screen Rant, the White Bone Demon may appear in the DLC and possibly add a romantic subplot to the story with Sun Wukong. Although this is not canon to the original story of Journey to the West, it would be pretty interesting. In the original story, the White Bone Demoness's primary objective was to consume the flesh of the monk Tenzheng, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, just like so many other characters in the story, in order to gain immortal life.
Spring inside him welling up for eternal life.
She puts on many disguises to deceive the pilgrims, but each time Sun Wukong is able to see through them and defeat her. But Tenzheng, moved by compassion, scolded Sun Wukong and banished him, creating a rift between them. So, if Tenzheng is in the DLC, it would be interesting to see what his reaction would be if Wukong hit it off with her instead of seeing her through her disguises 3 times and then defeating her. She also has many other powers such as shape-shifting, illusion casting, regeneration, immortality, so good luck trying to beat her if she is a boss in the DLC.
Then he'll wish he'd never been born.
This one's interesting. Bone manipulation, so she can control bones using them as weapons and also as barriers. I think that would also be a very cool thing to see in the DLC. Necromancy and enhanced shape-shifting. I had to look that up. It apparently just means more advanced forms of transformation. So she has, even more powers beyond that, according to some of the lore I've seen in the old movies and stuff like that. So I think that's why she would be a really cool character to see show up in the DLC. So moving on to the next character that might be in the DLC. The old monkey in the beginning of the game. There are theories about his identity. Some think he could be Tenzheng reincarnated given his association with Buddhism and his role in guiding the Destined One, although this theory is not universally accepted. Another theory posits he could be a representation of Sun Wukong's mind or consciousness, existing separately from his physical form. This aligns with the game's narrative where the Destined One inherits Wukong's mind to continue his legacy. So what role could he play in the DLC? Well, he could play a mentor or a guide given his apparent wisdom and experience, providing guidance and training to help him navigate new challenges.
Until now you have become the very thing you swore to destroy.
Don't lecture me, Obi-Wan.
A more interesting theory says he could be an antagonist having hidden motives. If he is indeed Tenzheng, again, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, his actions in the base game suggest a complex relationship with Sun Wukong in the DLC. He could emerge as an antagonist, challenging the Destined One's path and testing his resolve, perhaps due to different philosophies or undisclosed motives. Moving on to the third character that could possibly show up in the DLC for Black Myth Wukong. Zhenyuanzi is a revered Taoist immortal and the patriarch of all earthbound immortals. He tends to a unique ginseng fruit tree that produces only 30 fruits every 9,000 years. And here's the crazy parts. The fruits are shaped like little human infants, and they grant extraordinary longevity to those who consume them. Like thousands of years of life added to your lifespan just by eating one fruit.
Eternal life.
You chose poorly.
Imagine making those into some gummies. I would definitely not make them human shaped. I'd make them into like little bears or something, but I digress. Upon arriving at the temple, the pilgrims are offered ginseng fruits by Zhenyuanzi's servants, and my boy Tenzheng was hesitant to partake, finding the fruits' resemblance to infants unsettling. I knew I liked my boy Tenzheng. I was reading about his character and all this lore. I went down a deep rabbit hole and I liked his character, and then I read that and I was like, I agree, that is really weird. They're little infant fruits. I wouldn't want to eat it either, but maybe I would to gain several years on my lifespan. When the servants discover the missing fruits, they accuse the pilgrims of theft, which is accurate. Sun Wukong did take 3 of them for him and his friends. Wukong destroys the tree, which pisses off Zhenyuanzi, who captures them, but they seek help from Guanyin, who helps restore the ginseng fruit tree, and Zhenyuanzi forgives them, and him and Wukong form a bond of mutual respect.
Let this be the hour when we draw swords together.
This could make for an interesting chapter in the DLC, possibly giving the player a choice to steal the fruit or not, and depending on the choice, could produce different outcomes to the story. Now, at first, I thought this could be a pretty far-reaching theory, as the original game didn't offer choices that changed story mechanics, but upon scouring the dark web for endless hours, after getting past all the for sale and all the drugs and all the replicas of Donald Trump's hair. I'm just kidding. The dark web, I basically just mean a couple Google searches and some threads on Reddit. But anyway, after all that, I came across this. On the r/Black Myth Wukong thread on Reddit, someone by the name of Green Aware posted that at the Black Myth Wukong art exhibition in Hangzhou, China, they announced that the DLC was officially under development, and that there will be a relation system added for main NPCs. How you treat them will affect their opinions on you. So that theory actually doesn't seem as far-fetched as it did before.
One, Brock?
Yeah, it's called far-fetched.
Wow. Pika?
Now, let me back up a little bit. I don't trust this art exhibition source because I can only find 2 claims that this actually happened. This one Reddit post, which yes, it is pinned on the thread at the very top, and one on YouTube. And I found an article on a Chinese government website called Hangzhou, China, about this art exhibit, which does exist, so the art exhibit does exist, but there is no mention of the announcement for the DLC anywhere. Like anywhere, if you do a Google search, I went pages deep in Google, like looking for evidence that, you know, who announced it. Like you'd think there would be a name, like who announced it at this, it would be big news, right? So you would think you could come across it with a few Google searches. So I am very skeptical of this source. I even asked ChatGPT, Gemini, so several, AI sources. I know they're not super reliable, but I mean, they scan quite a bit of information, and they both came back saying no, there was no official announcement by Game Science, the developer, that the DLC was officially announced at this art exhibit. So while it's clear to me that it was never announced at the art exhibit, I do have hope that the DLC is in the works for a few reasons. The first being that the biggest investor in the studio behind Game Science, Daniel Wu, stated according to a Bloomberg article that the game Black Myth Wukong can reach 30 million sales over its lifetime, augmented with an expansion to come, and apparently just flat out said that Game Science is planning an expansion. And the next reason is that on Game Science's website, there is a FAQ for pre-ordering the game. Obviously, this was before it came out. And one of the questions was, what is the payment model for Black Myth Wukong? And the answer is, Black Myth Wukong employs a classic one-time purchase model with a one-time payment. In the future, we may release DLCs and non-pay-to-win in-game purchases. And then encouraging everyone to take a screenshot of the statement as their guarantee. Let's go back really quickly to this Reddit post because I feel that there is a possibility that the person who is making these claims is reliable and has connections. I want to know if this is the case. I can't find any information on who this is or where they found a credible source that confirms the DLC was announced at the art exhibit. So I encourage anyone watching that may know who this Green Aware person is to leave a comment and let me know. I mean, I'm open. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. This could be a very credible person. The fact that I can't find anything just means I can't find anything, and that makes me think it's not true.
It's not true. That's impossible!
Search your feelings, you know it to be true.
Let's continue to my last little glimmer of hope that there will be some DLC for this game and possibly even more games to come. Maybe even, 2 other games, which is heavily rumored on the internet, which I hope is true. I really hope it's all true. But as of now, it seems to be rumors. And that is that if you look up Black Myth Wukong on Wikipedia and do a word search for DLC, it will take you to the bottom of the page where there's a ton of different links, and there's 3 different links all linking to basically Chinese gaming websites, and one of them is called Game Look. And I looked this up because I'd never heard of it, and apparently it's a credible gaming media source. Now, it's also a rough translation with the Google Translator in Firefox for sure, but the game director himself, or the CEO, Feng Zhe, said in an interview referring to the DLC, which the article says he rarely mentions, that this thing will not be very fast, but also hope that the players, the audience, can understand that we actually need a long time to think and understand the new technology. And I've read a little bit about this. He's talking about some technology that like scans the environment for the game. That's apparently what he's referring to. New themes, and we also need to think about how to go to the next level on the basis of the present, including to meet the comments, to see a lot of expectations that may be in our current story, such as which characters we hope to appear, and then which stories can have a more satisfactory ending. It's a bit of a rough translation, but it really sounds promising. So it is a bit confusing, but I do love that they say it will be the icing on the icing. Talking about the DLC a little bit later in the article. Gotta love mistranslations. So for me, this is the most solid evidence for the DLC. As far as the release date, everyone online, all the rumors that is, are guessing it will drop this August 2025. For me, judging by what I think is the most credible source coming from the CEO of Game Science himself, we won't see the DLC for a long time. I have no idea like how long, but I would honestly be shocked if we saw it drop this August of 2025. I hope I'm wrong, I really do. I would love to see it drop that soon.
I bet you folks don't have one of these.
I want that.
But from all my research, I'm just not convinced that it will. I'm Johnny, by the way, and if you enjoyed this video, definitely feel free to subscribe. Feel free to check out my playlist of all my PSP game reviews. I can definitely say that I am looking forward to any official announcement from Game Science. That will be very exciting. I'll be super happy to see that. I'm sure it will happen. I hope soon. I hope sooner than later, because there's a lot of cool stories, and I've just been diving into a rabbit hole of the lore. This story is brand new to me. This game, you know, sucked me into the lore. I'd never heard of it really, and so I've just been like, man, just really enjoying reading about, you know, the characters and who could possibly show up in the DLC. If you enjoyed it, drop a like, definitely subscribe, check out my other videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.